He just can't help it.
I was a senior in high school, and I wanted to get a job. And I remember about to get out of the car, and I looked to my right, and two well-dressed men in suits kissed each other. I mean, they gave each other a kiss. And then one looked like he was heading to the DuPont building, and one looked like he headed to the Hercules Corporation building. And I'll never forget, I turned and looked at my dad. He said, "Joey, it's simple. They love each other. It's simple." No, I'm not joking. It's simple. They love each other.
He is an old school Democrat that the best way to pander is to lie. Lie to identify.
Let's get ready to rumble! You can't handle the truth.
Now, this commentary is not about homosexuality, but it is about Joe Biden pandering and lying, because that's all he does. He is a proven liar. Now, he's told this story before, that in 1961, he saw two guys kissing. He turned to his dad, and his dad said, "Joey, it's okay. They're in love." I'm not making this up. I'm not kidding. No joke. No joke. Which is Joe Biden's tell. Every time he's going to tell a lie, he always says something just like that. I'm not making this up. No joke. No joke. It's really happened. So you immediately know he's lying. And he has been caught time after time after time, multiple lies. He's been fact-checked even by Democrats who have pointed out he's lying, but he keeps right on telling them. Now, why does he do that? Well, yes, he's pandering because he says this was his come to Jesus moment. Now, I'm telling you, in 1961, two men in public on a street would not have been seen kissing. Wouldn't have happened. Sorry, hate to disrupt revisionist history here, but that would not have happened, and Joe's father would not have been progressively enlightened at that time to say what he said. Now, there might have been times where people got an inkling that two guys were, and kids, especially in high school at that time, might have made an offhanded comment, and a parent who wouldn't have necessarily endorsed the behavior would have said something like, mind your own business, just, it's not affecting you, go on with your day. This little moment of enlightenment that Joe is trying to tell us happened in 1961 did not happen. How do I know? Because going forward in Joe Biden's political career throughout the 1970s into the 1980s, do you ever remember Joe Biden leading the charge for gay rights? Yeah, me either. Into the 90s, into the 2000s, it wasn't until he was VP that he kind of jumped the gun on his own boss, Barack Obama, when then all of a sudden he was for same-sex marriage. Even though he had said just a couple of years earlier, we don't need a constitutional amendment to define what marriage is. We have the Defense of Marriage Act, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Joe Biden pandering and moving toward a political base, because the best way to identify is to lie and to ensure that they could bring the LBGT community into the Democratic fold, was for him to have had this moment where he saw this and he was enlightened. It's just like, when he tries to tell us he was a civil rights leader, even though in the 70s he took a hardcore stance against busing, which now all of a sudden the black community looks back on and says, yeah, busing was a mistake. They weren't saying it then, though. Just saying. That said, he can't help it. He lies. This takes me back to when Barack Obama was being caught in all of his lies about his childhood and his upbringing and things that he wrote about his own autobiography. And a professor by the name of Gerald Early came to his defense and said, well, even though these are lies, these are Obama's lies, and if he believes them, then that's his truth. And that was the first time, even before Oprah, we were introduced to the concept of his truth. The Democrats, the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media, they know he's lying, but they give him cover anyway. This is like back in the day when Bill Clinton, who was another walking, talking, pathological, just couldn't help but lie about literally everything. And the media back in that day used to marvel about it. They would talk openly in their CNN panel discussions. Well, we know President Obama is lying, or I'm sorry, President Clinton is lying, and he's spinning us, but he does it so masterfully. But no Republican is allowed to lie. After all, this Republican congressman, this just elected who lied about his gender identification, lied about his sexual attraction, lied about where he went to school and what he did. He's got to go. We demand he resign. We demand he be impeached. He's not going anywhere. And yeah, I wouldn't vote for him. I think he's a liar. But so is Elizabeth Warren. How many people of Native American descent has she robbed of their opportunities to go to college and get the things that she got by claiming to be an Indian? Turns out my table lamp has more Native American in it than Elizabeth Warren does. She lied for her own advancement. Kind of makes you wonder if at some point the feminists aren't going to figure out that the war of the sexes is over and men have won. What do I mean by that? All those years you marched for equal rights, and now, who's the International Woman of the Year? Oh, a trans woman. Who's the U.S. Woman of the Year? Oh, a trans woman. Who are the outstanding female athletes that ESPN and other media outlets talk up? Oh, trans athletes. In other words, men who became women. It's almost as if men said to you ladies, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to be the right kind of woman. We'll be one for you. I have more to say about that in a few minutes. But Joe Biden and just habitually lying. Just a quick reminder.
Hell, I might be president now if it weren't for the fact I said I had an uncle who was a coal miner. It turned out I didn't have anybody in the coal mines, you know what I mean?
Really?
I tried that crap, about, it didn't work. I'm from Scranton, Pennsylvania. I figured there had to be a coal miner somewhere in the family.
Nothing, huh?
Nothing. It was an engineer.
I swear to God, when he left Scranton, when Cole died, my dad was he was a salesperson. He wasn't a coal miner. My great-grandpa was. I was a senior in high school, and I wanted to get a job. And I remember about to get out of the car, and I looked to my right, and two well-dressed men in suits kissed each other. I mean, they gave each other a kiss. And then one looked like he was heading to the DuPont building, and one looked like he headed to the Hercules Corporation building. And I'll never forget, I turned and looked at my dad. He said, Joey, it's simple. They love each other. It's simple. No, I'm not joking. It's simple. They love each other.
Sorry, but that whole kiss that he witnessed never happened. His father never said it. It's just another Joe-Bama Biden lie.
Say it ain't so, Joe. Say it ain't so.
Well, Jamie Lee Curtis, who got her start as a scream queen in the movie Halloween, 45 years later, finally got her first Oscar. And good for her. But then, on an interview with Good Morning America, she had to go woke.
Here they are. Have we named her? What's her?
I'm in support of my daughter Ruby. I'm having them be a they them.
Oh.
I'm gonna just call them they them, and they are doing great.
Her father, Tony Curtis, is rolling over in his grave right now. I mean, this is so many levels of insanity. And I'm sorry, I know this is going to sound mean, but take a look at her son, now daughter, Ruby. Not a good look there. Sorry about that. But again, where are you feminists? That now we're transgendered women are basically telling you ladies, we know more about being a woman than you. This is why we need testing for cervical cancer, which is a real thing. We give TikTok videos on what to do during your menstrual cycle. Yes, Dylan does. And that's why Drew Carey got on her knees before him. I could make a really crass, very unchristian, very unpastoral joke about her dropping on her knees in front of a man and what that means while he's in the seated position. So women are now saying, we really don't know how to be a woman, so you men, you go ahead and mansplain to us as trans women what it means to be a woman. Because that's really what you're saying. And as far as Jamie Lee Curtis's son transitioning, Bill Maher absolutely has this perfectly identified and defined.
And finally, new rule: if something about the human race is changing at a previously unprecedented rate, we have to at least discuss it. All the babies are in the wrong bodies? Was there a mix-up at the plant, like with Captain Crunch's Oops, All Berries? It wasn't that long ago when adults asked a kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? They meant, what profession? It's trendy. Penis equals man? Okay, boomer. Remember, the prime directive of every teen is anything to shock and challenge the squares who brought you up. The LA Times summarizes, she's come to believe that some children identifying as trans are falling under the influence of their peers and social media. If you attend a small dinner party of typically very liberal, upper-income Angelenos, it is not uncommon to hear parents who each have a trans kid having a conversation about that. What are the odds of that happening in Youngstown, Ohio? If this spike in trans children is all natural, why is it regional? Either Ohio is shaming them or California is creating them. I'm sure the vast majority of parents do not take this lightly, and that it's very hard to know when something is real or just a phase. And I understand being trans is different, it's innate. But kids do also have phases. They're kids, it's all phases. The dinosaur phase, the Hello Kitty phase. One day they want to be an astronaut, the next day you can't get them to leave their room. Gender fluid, kids are fluid about everything. If kids knew what they wanted to be at age 8, the world would be filled with cowboys and princesses. I wanted to be a pirate. Thank God nobody took me seriously and scheduled me for eye removal and peg leg surgery.
Hey, did you know that your pantry is racist?
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. And may God have mercy on your soul.
Honestly, libloons are a whole new level of just a dangerous viral outbreak that we need to quarantine them away from the rest of us, because their liblunacy is more contagious than anything that escaped out of a lab from a nation of Asian descent. That said, Jenna Drenton, who is a Loyola professor, has said that pantries can be traced back to the 1800s, that if you had a pantry, a butler's pantry, That was a sign of your wealth and your position. And this new trend on TikTok and on other social media where minimalists are showing pictures of their very tidy, well-organized pantries, their decluttered lives as they live tiny, is really them showing off, here it comes, are you ready for it? Their privilege. That tidy means you're organized, you're smart, you're wealthy, you're, finish it, you're white. Can we please have some people of color, some black people who are organized, tidy, step up and say, this isn't about the color of my skin. This is about I like to be organized. I like to know where things are. I like to know how to find things. This is like Colin Kaepernick, that if I couldn't stand him before, his whole kneeling on the flag, it represents racism. No, the flag represents you having the right to earn millions of dollars playing a child's game. It gave you that freedom. But then to write a book where you trash on your parents, that as you were struggling as a young black kid, you wanted to get tatted and wear a do-rag, and your parents said, I don't really know if that's a professional look. Why? Because they were trying to set you up for success. And by the way, there are thousands of black families that don't want their kids looking like gangbangers on a street corner. But of course, the media won't tell you about that. And Colin Kaepernick is out to sell books where he loves his parents, but they denied him his blackness. Come on. And now pantries. And again, we hear this, well, this is coming from a college pastor. And you know, they just have these crazy ideas. Yes, that's exactly where wokeism was born. And 10 years ago, we laughed at this stuff and we made fun of it. And I was on the radio and I made fun of it. And now we're paying for it. And at what point do your do-it-yourself cable shows, etc., start realizing, well, we can't teach organizational skills anymore because it's racist. I mean, literally everything is racist. Music conservatories in England will no longer use sheet music because it's printed on white paper. And it's a sign that the writers of classical music were in and of themselves racist. This has gotten to just a level of insanity. And sadly, what it does, it diminishes real racism. And we get caught up on all of this virtue signal. Look, let's just be honest. There are disorganized Slavic people in all races. Ever heard of rednecks? The uneducated, backwards, barefoot. By the way, not everybody that has clutter is stupid or not a thinker. If I turn this camera around right now, you could see my desk. But it's my clutter. I know where everything is. Leave it alone. But as far as the rest of this facility, my staff will tell you, I walk around. If I see things out of place, I'm very OCD that way. I pastor a church that when I got here, it was very much an older congregation, and things were well maintained, but you could tell that definitely older people were responsible for the decorating. And you couldn't have a table without some type of doily thing, and there had to be some type of knick-knack or something on it. And I went through one day and we got rid of about 95% of all that. And it was culture shock for them. Really? We can have a shelf with nothing on it, or just one plant at one end and maybe a book here, and that's all? That's all? Yeah, that's it. Declutter. I can't stand clutter. I'm one of these people, if I haven't used it in the last 2 hours, get rid of it. I mean, I drive my family crazy with stuff like that. And there are other people of all persuasions that way. It doesn't make you racist. This insanity is going to continue until we push back. And don't worry about being canceled just for the sake of sanity. You have to stand up, speak up when you hear these things and say, no! Enough is enough is enough.